Hello, KCIW listeners, and welcome to another live broadcast of Curry Café, where producer and host Ray Gary assembles a panel of interesting guests to discuss various topics. Here's Ray to tell us about today's topic and hear about the guest.
Well, thank you very much, Rick, for another amazing introduction.
Yeah.
As we said, the Curry Café is a very informal program, as you'll find out soon when you hear all the mistakes we make, where we sit around, there's four of us today, discussing being transgender, maybe, or being gay, and that pretty much that whole field. We have three very astute guests today who will teach us all about the whole thing. So let's go around the table. Everybody introduce themselves and say whatever bragging you want to do or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we can start that way. We usually go clockwise, but today we'll go counterclockwise.
Yeah, hi. I'm Denise DuBois. I moved here from Portland, Oregon about 6.5 years ago. I'm trans. I came out when I was 49. I turned 71 in about a week. And my memoir was published by the University of Wisconsin-Madison Press in August of 2017, and I did a national book tour off that. And I've sort of been floating around with some filming and so forth, a movie that's coming out hopefully sooner than later. It is done. It's being edited. I don't want to go too much into that because it's not out yet, but...
It's
I love
awesome,
Brookings. Huh? I love Brookings, and I'm glad I'm here. And I'm glad we're talking about this today.
Did you mention the name of your book?
Yeah, Self-Made Woman.
Okay.
Yeah, Denise DuBois.
Okay, yeah. And that's available, I assume?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
My name is Will Jaster. I just go by the shortened Will. I am also transgender. And I have recently written some work about my experience with hormonal therapy for transitioning. And that writing was in collaboration with Joanie Lindenmeyer's book, Joyously Free.
How awesome is that? Welcome. Hi, I'm Troy Lea, and I'm... from Crescent City. I'm their LGBTQ representative, I guess, and I'm gender fluid, so kind of stuck in the middle there somewhere. Anyways, and I'm a cosmetologist, actor extraordinaire.
Okay, one of the main reasons I wanted to explore this subject, something that most people don't know very much about, I think. During the recent campaign, we had more than one politician talking about kids being sent off to school. I remember Trump's little speech about little Billy, be a good boy, do your studies, and blah, 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 blah. And the next time they say little Billy, he's a girl. At least some of the politicians were saying, I don't remember if Trump was one of them, that this was done without consulting the parents at all. Now, when I was a kid, I went to the school nurse for some reason. She couldn't even give me an aspirin. So have things with school nurses changed? I mean, can you just go in and say, hey, I feel like I need to sit when I pee, and they change it to a girl?
I think we can all agree whatever he says is ridiculous. So you're getting your information from a source that has no relevance to the situation.
Yeah, that's obvious. Yeah. I assume everybody listening to me thought it was obvious, but
I just want to put that out there. That's just crazy. You know what you guys thought.
And there were people who evidently believed that. Mm-hmm. But so, what is the real thing? I mean, what is
the real facts?
So what? I mean, how do you, in reality, realize that you were born the wrong sex, or something like that?
Who wants to touch that one?
I will, briefly. I knew when I was 4. It's in my memoir. I was at my Polish grandparents' cottage in southern Wisconsin where I grew up. This is like 1957. And I fell off the dock into the water and was drowning. Oddly enough, I swear I was breathing underwater because it felt like water was swirling around me at the bottom of the lake. And my father jumped in and pulled me out. And I had to wear one of my cousin's clothes while my clothes were drying. Everyone was drunk. This is Polish Catholic, get together in the middle of summer. It's how we rolled. And I knew. I said, wow, all makes sense to me now. And I didn't want to change. I remember I didn't want to change back into my boy clothes, and my father was absolutely livid. And that's when I knew I had a long journey ahead of me. So I'm not saying that that's true for everyone. Some people, it's all different, and that's just who I am.
I do hear that, though, from gay people or whatever, that they realize that they were more comfortable in the other sex clothes. I think, who's the singer that just became blind?
Who just became blind? I have no idea.
He just became blind. They made a movie about him. Anyway, it doesn't.
Stevie Wonder?
Huh? No.
He's always been blind. Yeah. But anyways, your point was.
But that seems to be like a kickoff, like a start. I remember from your book you talked about feeling more comfortable in women's clothes.
Well, I wouldn't put it quite that way. I just knew I was a woman. It didn't matter about the clothes at all. I mean, this is deep-seated, subconscious stuff bubbling up that was there from the very beginning. Another odd thing that I noticed, too, in this journey was, I felt this way long before I started smoking weed, drinking alcohol, indulging in other recreational, illegal drugs when I was younger.
I even knew what it meant.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everybody's story is different.
Yeah, and I knew it in grade school. I knew I was different. I knew it in high school.
Yeah. Myself too.
We all
at
felt
5.
Will,
different.
how did you navigate all this?
When did you start feeling different?
It's kind of hard to say because, on some level, to me, it felt like I always felt different. The way I was different, I didn't know how exactly. And I suppose that also comes with the fact that I was raised to be a girl. And there's a huge difference between, being raised to be a boy or being raised to be a girl. Different, social expectations of that. And it didn't really click for me when I was younger because at least with my upbringing, it felt like I was just allowed to run around and do whatever I wanted when it came to being myself. And that was one of my main experiences with girlhood. And I think on some level, you are more allowed to be more flamboyant or do stranger things than what a young boy is allowed to do. And so I was allowed a lot more fluidity that just didn't really seem that strange to me. When I got older, late middle school, early high school, and my body started changing because of puberty, that was when things actually started to feel like there was something wrong. But because I was already used to just living in a more casual, not really strict with gender roles sort of way, I didn't really know where exactly it was rooted in because it was you can dress any way that you want and look any way that you want, but you're still a girl. That was basically what I was given. And when it began to click for me that there was something missing for me personally, with my identity, that I was actually able to start making sense of how exactly I was different and why things didn't really feel right to me. And in retrospect, I can see ways in which on some level, it's I both knew my identity and didn't know it yet. It didn't just click yet. It honestly feels being told that one day I'd have to go from being a girl to being a woman just really started to muddy the waters because then I really had to ask myself who am I?
There's not very much representation out there for you to actually to see, a lot correct,
Yeah.
It's always been my contention from day one is that we're all in the womb, we're all female. That's why men have breast, okay? So by that last trimester is when you get your X chromosome and you turn into a male. But I think there's a lot of gray area in that middle time. At least that's been my experience. But I see your total point as far as a female is allowed to be a little more elaborate. But as a male, not so much. There's such a strict, But fortunately, I had really awesome parents that sat me down when I was 9 and explained to me what gayness was and how people were going to be evil and hate me just because of the fact. And they wanted to define me, and I was raised to define myself. And people still to this day are confused, but that's on them, not on me, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a lot of parents are not that nice and fortunate. But I knew when I was like 5 that, not that I was trans, that just that I was different and more flamboyant,
It seems like if you're a girl at, like preteen or teen or whatever, it might be, you will get away with acting a little masculine, much more so than a boy would get away with being. I could picture a guy coming to work and talk to the boys and say, "Yeah, you should see my daughter. She's some tomboy." But I can't picture a guy coming to work and say,
which they don't.
"Boy, my boy is really a sissy."
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. There's so much more expectation on a male. And I'm from my parents. My dad was in the military. So every time we moved, every 4 months, they would just call me Gay Troy. That just literally was my name. And in retrospect, I appreciated it because I knew who I was from way back. Most gay men, they come out when they're 40 or 30, or they live this whole other life before they actually live their truth. So I feel very fortunate I didn't have to do all those things.
Things have changed a whole lot, and as far as being gay from when you were a little boy. I imagine you took some grief about that, and
a lot every day.
Do you think that's easier today? That being gay is more acceptable?
Well, I think that my minority is turning into the majority at the moment. That toothpaste has left the tube. You can't push this back in the closet. And I don't have a coming out story. I was always out when I was born, and that's how I tell people. Yeah, so they're just more out there, especially the gay. The gay agenda, you can see everybody's more proud of it now, thank God. But trans is new.
I've heard that there's actually a gay club in school here, and it's a pretty small school, pretty small community.
Yeah, Crescent City has them to support groups in both schools, yeah. Because it's still the number one cause of suicide amongst the LGBTQ. And in my opinion, it's just, the more we talk about it, the more we educate people, the less death has to happen.
To me, it's when I was younger and growing up, like most people growing up the way I did, gays were just weirdos and they were sick and they were don't want you around me kind of thing. And then after Stonewall, things started to improve a lot. And I don't know if I imagine it was Stonewall was the kickoff for it, but then I can remember like people saying, "Well, so what?" And the medical community come out and said it's not it's an alternate lifestyle.
It's not a mental disorder. That's how they classified it. Yeah.
Troy, you brought up a good point a minute ago that I just want to comment on about the more you can reach out to the community and educate, the better off we're all going to be, because by not, the story of, you brought up earlier, Ray, about, the kid goes to school and comes back a different gender kind of thing is absolutely ludicrous, or Troy.
Right.
I spoke to the LGBT club in Brookings High a couple years back, maybe 3 years ago. And it was well attended. And I was really surprised how open the high school was compared to my years in high school, 50 years or half a century ago, how much it had changed. And so what I'm trying to say here is things will change, but we got to keep talking about it.
Educating them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if people want to talk about it, we have a number you can text into. It's 541-661-4098 if you'd like to comment or have any questions, just to put that out there.
Yeah, our operator's standing by, and he looks extremely bored right now. So
No, he's busy. But yeah, I think the more education you have, the better. Because you, as a straight male, there was no day that you just decided, I'm going to be this or I'm going to be that.
Right.
You just had a quote unquote regular, upbringing as far as that goes, your gender. Because nobody just wakes up and decides to be whatever they are.
I think I may have woken up and decided just the opposite. When I was in high school, I went out for the wrestling team, and I not only was awful at it, but I just did not feel comfortable rolling around on the mat with a sweaty guy. So you think that meant I was?
Well, you were just taught
Yeah.
certain things, and those things are.
I'm still
obviously
not fond of male hugging.
Well, that's more of a, I think, intimacy issue of your own personal self.
Yep.
Anyways, but yeah, I think you're totally right with the education, and we just had on Transgender Day, we had a day of remembrance and resilience in Crescent City. It was the first annual, which was. It was amazing. It started off really small, and then word got out, and it became a really big thing. And it's just the tragedy of it all here recently.
I can remember how surprised I was and how happy I was actually that this whole thing of being gay seemed to resolve itself fairly quickly. It was, people could. And now all of a sudden, with our local change in political attitudes, it's going back the other way to where.
Right.
Well,
I don't think
sometimes
it's ever
baby
resolved
steps
itself.
forward, baby steps back.
Well,
Exactly.
it's a wonderful issue that you can really get people riled up about, like gay marriage and the Republicans drinking baby blood. These are the kind of thing, or the Democrats. I'm sorry. You can get people. You can easily rile up people when you mention pedophile, because nobody can defend a pedophile. So
Well, no, that's another category they try to put us in too, and there's still some people that try to say to this day we're prepping children and all these crazy things, but that's just ludicrous.
Before I retired, I was a sexual abuse investigator for the Alaska State Troopers.
Correct. And what was your experience with that?
Just what you just said. During that time, I think I arrested one person two that were actual pedophiles that were interested in young boys or young girls. And the rest
We're all straight.
They were straight, married, fundamentalist Christians.
Exactly.
And my favorite arrest was a Baptist minister on Father's Day.
That's do we have a question?
We have a text.
Sure. Boy.
The operator standing by. The person says, what's the difference between being gay and being trans? From the texter, thank you.
There's a difference. Sexual orientation has nothing to do with your gender.
Exactly.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
End of story. Right. I mean, that's very, yeah.
Yeah. And
Try to put the two together.
Yeah, and they can vary widely. Like, it's not that one equals to the other. They just blend with one another in various different ways depending on the person. Because while they're similar, there's always going to be that distinct separation between how you relate to yourself and how you relate to other people.
Right. Who you represent. And we got another one. We're just busy.
Okay, right behind it. Another text. People are afraid of what they don't understand. Educating is everything.
Exactly.
Thank you, text.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
The other thing in there is who cares?
We do.
I mean, huh?
We do.
Well, you do, but I mean, as far as the straight community who complain about this, I don't understand it. What, like gay marriage? Why do people get excited about gay marriage? Who cares? Well, why should you care? I guess I praised that.
Well, because
wrong.
we want to be just like everyone else, because we are just like everyone else. It doesn't define your person just because of your orientation or your religion or your race. You know, and at least that's for me. And I've been married 3 times, yes. But we wanted. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's been my education that in the beginning, marriage was basically so a man could own his woman, and that's why she changes her name, and that was the root of that. But we just wanted to be equal and have somebody that, for me, it was more of a medical situation. You love someone, you spend your life with them, and then they get sick or injured. You're not allowed to see them in the hospital because you're not, quote, family.
Right.
Yeah.
Happened to a friend of
those
mine.
kinds of issues. You know, it's like, and that's why we just want to be the same, because we deserve that same right as everyone else does. What do you guys think?
I definitely agree with that. And what were you saying about the medical stuff? That also became a really big priority for a lot of gay people due to the AIDS epidemic, because of the fact that like so many people that you know and love are like, you know, getting sick and dying around you, and to be told that you're not allowed to see them because you're not family and you don't count as their actual spouse. And
exactly. That was a crazy epidemic.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it was like, you know, the people that they loved just got erased out of nowhere. They weren't allowed any sort of like, you know, contact for like grieving or just being able to see them while they were still alive.
Right. And it was legally possible for their families to go in and take everything that they owned from that relationship. It was living through that was pretty heroic. But I will say, my parents sat me down again when I was 11, when the AIDS epidemic came out, and educated me as much as they could on it, and was very frank about, you know, I was 11, so obviously I was a virgin, and about sexual practices, because all they knew was that it was killing gay people. You know, there wasn't a lot of education at that time in the beginning about what was really happening.
I can remember some of the wild theories of what was causing it before it was actually considered.
Came from monkeys and a stewardess and just all these yeah. It was ridiculous. But I was thankful that they taught me how to safe sex practices.
You know, you brought up an interesting point about the AIDS epidemic, because in retrospect, when you think about the present, a lot of straight families went through not being able to see their loved ones when they were dying from
Exactly.
COVID. And it's just horrible. I mean, what goes around, the merry-go-round is for everyone when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it just was like the AIDS epidemic mishandled, so was this one, the
Exactly.
COVID thing, yeah.
I mean, here was our representative telling us to drink bleach to cure COVID. I mean, let's get serious. I mean, we lost over 1 million people so far, and AIDS started in the 80s, and we've still lost over 800,000 people, but that was in the 80s, and people didn't. What's up, people? We lost 1 million people to COVID so far, and nobody's really hitting that hard. Whose fault is that? It's Trump's fault. Let's be real. And he just tried to push it off to other people. Did you have another one? Oh, push it off. And there's some accountability.
I never understood how he got away with, in the interview where he told the reporter, whose name I should know, but I can't remember right now, that he knew about AIDS and how dangerous it was way back in February before it was actually public. He knew.
You mean Reagan?
I'm sorry?
Reagan, the president at that time?
No, Trump.
Oh. Who cares what he thought?
And he said he knew that it was deadly. He knew it was transmitted by air, not by touch. He knew all the facts, in other words. But
that's not true.
He didn't want
COVID or AIDS.
He didn't want to release that because he thought it would cause a panic. He's still telling people it'll go away by spring, like a miracle. I don't know how he got away with that. Sounds criminal to me.
Very much so. He's a convicted felon. But we can't even start with that topic. We just got to talk about what's the main issue is treating us equal in people in this situation.
Another text.
Another text, thank you, texter, says, being gay was not an option for me growing up. Always knew I was. Got married, had kids. Now I am living my true self and married to Troy. Hello, the love
Oh, my husband.
life.
Oh, he's so fabulous.
Well, now, okay, thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he was married for 20 years to a female because that's who he thought he had to be.
It's
unfortunately,
it's another. That's a thing that's very difficult for any of us to understand. Living this life that you know you're not, and then having to do something about it, and going through everything you have to go through. I would imagine that he probably had some uncomfortable conversations at the least with his family.
Well, he lived in a small town, and they're just, it depends on your family and how they are and what you're exposed to. If like you were just exposed to negativity, and it's an evil thing. And so if you ever thought that, then that can't be who you are. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
But so you can't tell anybody, and being another gender is another the same thing, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Because I thought those issues also. Why? But luckily I was fortunate to have great parents to ask those things too.
So this big deal about kids receiving surgery while they're still students, while they're minors, and obviously it's not done without parents' consent. But
of course.
What age should this be done at?
I think the sooner the better, especially before puberty. Correct? Because that's when I think it really gets hard.
But who makes the? Are we going to allow a prepubescent kid to make a decision like that?
No, the parent, of course.
Personally, I think it also depends on the procedure, because there's a lot of different medical interventions for transition, and it all gets conflated into just being surgery and surgery alone. But there are varying different things that can be done. For example, puberty blockers is a type of medication that can be taken to prevent the effects of puberty. It's basically just a medical pause button that allows the child more time to think out their decision without their body beginning to change in ways that they may or may not feel comfortable with. So it allows them time to actually think about what it is that they want to do. There's hormone replacement therapy, which is what I've personally gone through. And then, of course, there's also sex reassignment surgeries and things like that. They all count as medical forms of intervention for gender dysphoria, but they're not all the same thing. And it definitely depends on age, and not everyone gets to certain parts of their life at the same time. I think in a perfect world that a parent would be able to have an actual conversation with their child that doesn't discourage them, but also, allows them to understand, how big of a change there is to be made with interventions like these. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, and there's a lot of parents out there who think the only option is just close their children away from those options and refuse to let them have any idea of how to navigate the world in a way that makes sense to them.
Right. But they forget that we all come from straight parents. We're all 99% of them.
Yeah.
It's changing now, gay parents. But I'm just saying, for the most part, we all come from straight parents, and they don't really know these issues. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or they have the attitude, not my child.
Yeah, that's...
which makes it even harder when you're going through these issues.
The dad that wants his kid to be the football hero, and at some point realizes that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I was lucky.
There's a Progressive Insurance ad right now that's kind of cute. The kid is talking to his father over the football fence, and his kid's on the team, and he's telling his father that he doesn't want to be a football player, and the kid says something like, "Oh, well, you're ruining all your dreams." It says, "No, I'm ruining your dreams," and he runs off to
That's a
Run
progressive
away from the
commercial,
football
right?
team. But-
Yeah. I've seen that commercial.
Okay, I can remember seeing a program about this years ago, many years ago, about what it takes to even get in the program of being having the surgery and being converted. Is that a good term? Anyway, and it was immense. It wasn't just going and seeing your doctor. You had to go through quite a few interviews with psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever, to even be considered. Is that still the case, or can you?
I'll walk you through what happened to me when I finally came out at 49, briefly. So I had to talk with, a therapist, meet with her on a regular basis up in Portland. She opened it by just telling me straight up. She said, Denise, you're 48 years old. You know what you want in life. So I'm not here to stop you from doing whatever you want to do. That's not my purpose. I'm just here to listen to you and write the recommendation letter to your PCP and go from there. And I went through all that. Started the hormone treatment, HRT, and actually didn't have my gender affirming surgery here in the U.S. I went to Thailand, Bangkok for that. And that was a wise decision. State-of-the-art stuff over there, way cheaper, superior medical equipment, recovering in a 5-star hotel in Bangkok. I was living in New York at the time, Manhattan, so it was a big time in my life to go back to New York, a different person. Oh, happy, for sure.
Right.
So,
or the real person, basically.
Yeah, so that's pretty, in a nutshell, that's how it was for me. And I don't know what current practices are as far as transitioning, as far as therapy and so forth. Do you have anything on that, Will?
I only have my personal experiences working with the gender clinic here in Oregon, the only one, OHSU, and also their Dornbecker Children's Hospital, because they have an endocrinologist there, not just for transition stuff, but also for diabetes and things like that, where you also need different types of hormone replacement therapies, because not every single hormone replacement therapy is for transitioning only. But my personal experience was to actually talk with someone. I had to be on a wait list for several months. I want to say maybe 6. And that was to do a first consultation. And then I had to wait on the wait list for several more months to actually talk with the doctor and get a prescription for testosterone. So my personal experience was that I had to go through a lot more waiting. I was still a minor at the time, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was also a part of the process. And I don't have anything against that, really. From my personal perspective, I can understand if other people would just want to start their transition as soon as possible. But for me, I appreciated the time for more introspective thinking about what it is that I actually want, because that's something that their program up at OHSU emphasizes a lot. They don't have a one-way track for transitioning of one size fits all. This is what we're going to do for you based on what you said. They ask you what it is that you want, what it is that you expect for yourself, and how you want to present. So that way they can match you up with procedures that would actually fit well for you. For example, I told them that I did not know if I wanted top surgery, mastectomy, to get rid of my breasts. So I just wanted to focus on just starting with hormones first and see where I went with that. And they said, okay. Every now and then they'll still check in of how do you feel about this? And to this day, I still haven't gotten that kind of surgery because it's not my top priority right now. And so, yeah, they actually listen to you, which I think is something that is incredibly important, especially since transgender people are not a monolith. Everyone experiences things differently and has their own wants and desires for their transition.
Do you know? thank you for that. That's
I think we have another text.
Yes, and yes, thank you, Will. Just want to let everybody know, if you're enjoying the show like I am, and I hope a lot of other people, interesting and important show, the number is, again, as I fumbled it, 541-661-4098. So text in questions, comments, and enjoy the show.
Well, back to your comment. I think it's great that you got what you needed, but I think there still needs to be a lot more availability to the people that are out there that want to step out.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and because the parents need places to go for their questions about their child. Because like we said, we all came from, typically straight parents, and they need to be educated on what your child's really going through about identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know OHSU does that.
Which is a great thing. We just need more of it instead of the opposite, like they're trying to do now, and get rid of it.
I really wish it wasn't as rare as it is, because it's important.
There'd be a lot less suicides and people that were just so confused that they just take their own lives over it.
One of the things I watched some YouTube videos this morning to see to kind of do a little very informal research, and one of the interviewers was it might have been Josh Hawley, or one of those wonderful politicians, asked this person if they were aware of the negative effects of this surgery or this transition, and
I love that.
People changing their mind, things of that nature.
Well, here's the two things. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I've heard that my whole effing life, man. It's you're a burden on the medical society now. You're in and out of hospitals your entire post new life. You're a burden. Or the other one is that you're unemployable. You're more depressed than you were before. Right. It doesn't do anything for you, and those are the two biggies that they throw at you, that they attempt to throw at you. And I can only again speak for myself, but none of that stuff happened to me. I've been the last 20 years of my life have been the most beautiful 20 years I've ever existed on this planet. That's all I can say to it. And I'm healthier than a horse right now. So,
because you live in your truth.
Yeah, more power to it. I mean,
Right.
I want everyone to be able to experience life the way I'm experiencing it these last 20 years. Absolutely 100% right. And that's why we keep talking. That's why we keep educating.
And plus, to get rid of the violence that happens against us. Because people forget about that. It's your own personal situation you're going through, but to have the public want to violently hurt you because of it, that's something you don't have to experience walking the streets every day.
Right.
That we do, which is, or them knowing about it or whatever. I mean, I get asked all the time, how the way I dress or whatever, aren't you, embarrassed or worried or whatever? No, I shouldn't have to be.
Right.
No more than anybody else should have to be.
Yeah, people are very strange to people who don't think the way they do, and about lots of things. But the way you dress and the way you look, and if you're outwardly, that's quite frankly, that's the way I feel about when I see somebody carrying a gun here. I think, why do you need a gun in Brookings? But they do. Are they comfortable with it or whatever?
Well, that's their right.
It's their right. It's none of my business.
Well, that's true. I think that's a different topic than this one. But to be physically threatened is,
Well, what were you going to say on this?
What were you going to say?
Circling back to the whole, are you aware of the consequences of these surgeries? I also wanted to talk about that a bit because, the main reasons why a majority of people who get gender-affirming surgeries express regret over it are mainly sociological reasons, such as people do not accept them and shun them away for getting those surgeries, and so it can feel very isolating that the people that say that they care about you after you get these surgeries just act as though you're just non-existent anymore. And also, when it comes to the regret rate, And of course, this is a study limited only to top surgeries, but there is a study out there published in the National Library of Medicine about like the regret rate for gender affirming surgeries, and the percentage was just 1%, which is smaller than the regret rate for a lot of other surgeries not related to transgender stuff, like life-changing and life-saving surgeries. And so it's
Exactly.
generally considered one of the types of surgeries out there with the lowest regret rate. And of the reasons for regret, it's not entirely about the effects of the surgery itself from like a medical or physical standpoint.
It's repercussion from other people.
Do you-
Just like you were saying about the gay marriage, it's like the stats are straight people, it's over 80% get divorced. Gay couples that have been married, it's only 1% have been divorced since
Is that
getting
right?
married. Yeah, because it's more pride in it because we had to earn it. You didn't. You can get married on Thursday and be divorced on Friday and change wives like their toilet paper. That's how the straight world looks, or represents it.
Mm-hmm.
But the gay, we had to earn it. So it's a little more different.
So this is an actual medical condition, right? I mean, if I decided that I wanted to become a trans, I could
something-
probably, right? Or is
They
that
don't just,
not-
you don't decide. It's who you are. It's who you are internally.
It's called gender
No,
dysphoria.
you talk about a physical thing or psychological thing?
How would you define that? It's how you're born.
You mentioned before there's a period
There's gray area.
while you're in utero that you
All women just start off with.
sex is decided. If you watch the process and all the things that go on in the womb, it's amazing that anybody comes out perfect, let alone almost everybody.
That's exactly it.
So
But
is
we
this
all start as women.
is
Let's make
right?
that clear.
Is this something that when that change is supposed to happen
There's a
hasn't
lot of
happened
gray.
correctly, and
Well,
that's
there's a lot of gray. The pregnancies are. There's been studies done like during the war period where women are a lot more stressed because war is on. There's been more gay people or LGBT people
really.
because of the stress of the pregnancy. There's just so many variables, but you can't just nail it down to one particular thing. And it's just literally how you're born. And you don't have any of those
So it's-
choices. Nobody jumps up
I
and
guess
says,
my point-
I want to be this way.
The point I'm getting to, it is an actual medical thing. If I decided I wanted to be trans, I'm 80 years old, a little late, but if I had decided that when I was 13, it couldn't happen. Is that right or not?
If that's who you are, then you'd want to transition.
But who you are is because of actual
How you're born.
physical things as opposed to psychological things.
The medical term is gender dysphoria.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So it is a medical thing. That's what I'm trying to determine. Yeah.
Yeah, they used to think it was a psychological thing, that it was, we went through many years of, it was a psychological problem. It was a choice, and there's it's not a choice. Nobody chooses. And you ask the same person that will tell you that, when did you choose to be straight? You didn't. It's just who you are, correct? Same thing as how I look at it. I didn't choose to be any certain way. It's just who you are, how you're born.
From my perspective, it isn't like choosing to be gay or trans. It's choosing to accept that part of yourself and choosing to be open about that.
And therein is the struggle.
Which certainly
Exactly.
sounds healthier than struggling with it.
I mean, look at all these people who are.
That's why people commit
Here's my
suicide.
thing: the bigger the mouth, the bigger the closet.
Exactly.
And that's how it runs with me, man.
And that's the truth. And because it was shunned for so long, and a lot of gay men or women, mainly men, it was on the DL. They would lie about it, and it was because it was so shameful. And that's how things get happening. It's you're married to a woman, you got kids, but you're over here doing this shady thing because that's what you're taught. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't taught like that. Yeah,
It certainly seems pretty obvious that everything is much healthier if,
it's getting better.
yeah.
But with people like Trump in the office, it's getting worse. It's like you're not going to push us back in the closet. No. It's not happening. Just like
this thing about not allowing. Well, they talk about not allowing gays to serve, but the trans people are all going to be kicked out of the military. And all
that's
that
what
stuff.
he's saying. Yeah,
That's never going to happen. He's
it's
saying
just
a
like,
lot of
I'm
things.
Jewish too. It's like you kill all the Jews. It's not going to happen. It's just like
It's red meat.
it's ridiculous. They've been gay in the military forever.
Of course I have.
They fought for our country just like everybody else. So why shouldn't we get the same respect as everybody else? And that's a special person to be in the military.
When I was 18 and 19 years old, I would have considered that a benefit if I was gay to not be in the military, but that's another story entirely.
Yeah. Okay. You just can't have...
I could have avoided the draft is what I'm saying.
Oh, well, yeah. But I think being raised in the military, yeah. That's who you have to be.
I'm sure in all the paperwork I had to figure out, there was a box someplace that said, "Are you a homosexual?" And I probably could have said yes. And who knows what?
Well, then now they're not allowed to ask you those things.
Yeah, but
because that's just ridiculous. They shouldn't judge you. It's just like asking you your race.
yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, if you go to the doctor now or anybody where you have to check the little box about what sex you are, now there's 3 or 4 or 5 things to choose from.
Yeah. Well, because there should be.
Yeah. Well, if it's like a dentist, I always say it's none of your damn business. I don't check anything. But if it's something that seems appropriate, I would probably do that.
What's your guys' opinion on that? I mean, we're talking, yeah.
Are you talking? Are
Oranges and apples.
you opening the gender or opening the non-binary topic here? Is that what this is about?
Yeah.
In terms of, like, Oregon driver's licenses, for example, you can do gender X now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was there when it became legal. My attorney friend and I, he appealed to the DMV and got the change, and so we were in downtown Portland at the DMV. We handed out donut holes to everybody. There was a huge line of people going in to get their driver's license changed to gender X.
Exactly.
And I was very, very surprised at how receptive the other people in line were who were there for other reasons as far as accepting all that new change. And now it's standard in California and Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little steps, like I said.
Baby steps, and we're going to get there. We got to keep pushing.
Don't let this Trump guy scare you. I mean, every president comes and goes.
Yeah, we've had worse.
Every president comes and goes, and this will be the same case here. I harbor no hatred towards anybody on the other side of the fence. And I do want to make a comment about this town of Brookings that has always stuck with me since I've been here. 6.5 years. I do a lot of shows in this town, a lot of theater. I've had guys open doors for me. I've had guys carry groceries for me. I've never had one bit of hatred hurled at me in this town. I don't get red. Being red means people know automatically.
Right.
And that's what that word means. And so that probably helps a lot. But the point being, even if I was, Republican families and Democrat families all have children and adult children who are gay, bisexual, transgender, straight. We're all in the same boat together on this. And they can make wedge issues all they want and throw all the red meat they want to certain citizens in this country, and they'll gobble it up. Let them. In the end, baby steps forward. Baby steps forward.
We just had our first annual Pride last year in 2024. And I'm on the board to do next year's, the cycle. It's just so sad that Crescent City is so far behind as far as knowing their community, knowing who's your neighbor, this kinds of things. That there's a very large gay population, transgender, LGBT community out there.
When I went to...
That's your workforce, basically.
When I went to see Rocky Horror a couple of nights ago, I had no idea when I went there that it was sponsored by a gay pride group. And we walked in, and it became very obvious to me very quickly that this is something very popular with the gay community. And
it is.
I was told it's sold out, you can't get in, but it was half empty. So they said, well, wait a little while. Some people may cancel. Well, apparently a whole lot of people canceled because we're easily able to sit down. So those people bought tickets just to contribute, not necessarily to go
Right.
with us at all.
Because, like I said, you can show up and then get hit in the head with a bat.
I thought it was a whole lot of fun.
It can be.
The movie was
definitely.
fun, and all the people who were there, and we
yeah.
wanted to throw the toast and sing songs, and it was really good.
Yeah, that's an interesting movie.
Yeah.
I've only seen it the one time, and yeah, I didn't know they did that stuff.
Well, I don't know what it's about.
The
I've-
rain and the the
You
audience
throw
participates.
toast, and then you have a newspaper, and there's just all kinds
It's parts of the movie
And
where
they
you
actually
participate.
gave out kits if you wanted them at the table there.
Yeah, that movie in particular is very interesting. But you're getting off topic. Hello. But you still went to support it, or?
No, I went to see the movie. I didn't know
what
it
did you
was a
think?
gay thing, but I was happy to be there that it was.
That's interesting. What, you guys have an opinion on that?
Rocky Horror is really dated. I saw
Definitely.
the Broadway play with Meatloaf playing the rock band
Right.
Meatloaf, and I saw Tim Curry playing Frankenfurter,
Right.
and it was awesome. That kind of turned me into wanting to be in theater, surprisingly, all those years ago in San
turned
Diego.
you
I wish there was more theater in this town.
Yeah, anyway, I mean, a more contemporary play that deals with transgenderism is a musical that John Cameron Mitchell starred in. And the name of it's escaping me right now because I'm a little nervous being on air, so I can't think of the name of the musical.
I should know that.
Yeah. It's about 20 years old, way not as old as
Rocky Horror.
yeah, Rocky Horror.
I saw
Well,
the
now
movie,
we've got our own
movie
network.
Boys in the Band not too long ago, and I knew kind of what it was about, and I thought it would be kind of a fun movie about the boys in the band being boys in the band.
Yeah.
No.
It's a very depressing movie.
Well, it's their lives and what their struggles, which
yeah.
wasn't all wee and fun and stuff. But I think now with RuPaul, he's really opened some
RuPaul's
doors
big.
to a lot of questions, and people love RuPaul and love the show and everything, and it's really opened up a lot of conversation, which is really great. And I perform and drag and do charity events, and it's totally fun. It's not who I am; it's just a character that I play, is what I tell people, and it's totally fun. I love it.
Yeah, it looks like fun to me.
The drag community.
Something I wouldn't necessarily. But I've been to some drag shows, and I think they're fun.
You have another one? Uh-oh.
Okay, thank you, Tex. Another text says, as a straight male, I think we should all treat transgender people as you would treat any other person with dignity and respect.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
That's all we're asking.
Durr.
Exactly.
But I know a whole lot of straight men that I don't think deserve dignity and respect. Do I have to treat them with the dignity? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. You give what you're
yes.
given.
Yeah, suppose you meet a trans guy who is not deserving of dignity and respect. Do you still have to?
I think that's just
Okay, that joke is falling flat. I can see that.
okay. I didn't find it a joke. Yeah.
A lot of people.
I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
Okay.
We just want to be,
I'm
as human.
I'm nothing else if not contrary.
Okay. That's true. Very true.
So what haven't we covered here?
I don't know if it was said explicitly, but with the last few minutes remaining, I just do want to emphasize the fact that again there are no gender affirming care just being handed out to students in school, because it is honestly hard for a lot of students to actually get support for that kind of stuff, just even on a social level. Not even medical. The only thing that is really done, quote unquote, without the parents' permission is just referring to a student by their preferred name and pronouns in school. I can't say for nationwide, but either you're required not to like talk about that if the student has said to keep it private, or it's just highly suggested. And that's more so for the safety of the student, because I mean, most teachers do not know the like home life of their students, and so they don't know how accepting their parents may be of them identifying in a way different from what they were born with. And that can cause a lot of serious harm if that were to get out when the student is not ready to actually come out to their parents. Because children have actually been harmed by their parents for being transgender, or even just questioning their gender identity, not even identifying as trans.
They've been murdered by their own parents.
Yeah.
Well,
Because we read all the names of the ones that we've known that we've lost, the transgender this year.
I have a friend that was disowned by his mother. Anyway, I think his father.
That's the least of that's one of the issues. But they're literally murdered for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little more substantial than just you're naughty. No, these are heavy duty issues.
It's the most
their homes.
It's the most extreme form of criticism when you murder someone.
And it's just it's ridiculous.
And that's the only reason why there is confidentiality about a student's identity at school, because it's not worth the risk of losing the life of a child purely because their parents could not accept or could not understand what their child was going through.
True.
I would have a lot of trouble understanding what those parents are going through.
Yeah, they like I said, they need to get education and figure it out.
Did I hear another text?
Yes, you did, and
they keep it coming faster.
Right, and we're down to my 3 minutes left. So,
this will be a good topic.
Don't forget, folks, there are homosexuals in the animal world. It's not as unusual, as we all claim. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one that I've somehow deleted already, but it just said to thank everybody for discussing this important subject.
Oh,
thank you.
So. And we are down to the last couple minutes here.
Wow, I didn't see the time.
We'll have more on the topic.
Okay, so that gives everybody a chance to give us their last thoughts.
Keep the faith. Change happens. Change is constant. Baby steps forward, maybe a few baby steps back. 50 years from now, it'll be a different world.
Yeah, we won't even be talking about it, hopefully.
No.
It'll just be like
less. That's way too long.
Exactly.
My last thoughts. It's a really scary time out here right now. It's okay to be afraid. Just stay safe and stay strong. And please, whatever you do, stay alive. You're worth living.
There you go. And there are people here to help you. Trust. Well, the people are starting to say, I'm a safe house. Because, I hang a gay flag in front of my house, and I had so many people thankful for it. It's like, if I can save one person from committing suicide or being murdered over the situation, I want them to know you can be happy and proud and live an awesome life.
Did we get another text? No. Okay.
So there is help out here. Just got to reach for it.
Okay. Well,
what did you learn from this as a straight person?
What did I learn? That's interesting. I don't know. Probably not much. I think that I kind of knew, except maybe specifics about hormones and things like that. But as far as attitude, I don't think... I found out that I don't like any of you three people, so...
Oh, my God. he's silly. Anyways, we appreciate the listeners. And we'll be talking about this again, for sure.
Yes, we will. In one form or another. It's definitely my intent.
And thank our guest, for sure.
So, we're down to 30 seconds. Right. Here comes the bumper music.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Osborne.
Thank you for listening. You can listen to this online if you missed part of it or all of it, or if you want to send it to your friends in Poughkeepsie, you can do that.
Let us know.
And you're listening to KCIW 100.7, all volunteer community radio here in Brookings.